What's up guys, it's your boy Karma CEO. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to show you guys how I make my donation booth concepts for Please Smite. And a quick plug for Aloha Vix's game, please go check it out by the way. It's not a sponsorship or anything, but let me tell you about this game. Please Smite features a series of different and unique special Smite effects with up to 11 different effects to choose from. Not only is there a massive variety in donation events, it only costs 1,000 Robux to drop a smite on someone in the game. My personal favorite smite has got to be the Tsunami Smite. It is incredible. I'm not going to spoil it for you guys, but you should go check it out. There are tons of mini games and events to check out as well, so make sure you guys go check it out, honestly. But enough said, let's get right into the video. Now, as you can see, we've got a toolbox open. For this video, you are not going to need that toolbox whatsoever. So we're going to close that right now. I don't usually close it, but it looks weird without it, honestly. Now, I know that a lot of you guys will be well aware of this. You can click on the base plate and insert a part just like that. And you know, you can scale things just like that. That's perfectly fine, right? Now, let me tell you something. That's awesome. You might need that. And another unique thing is you can hold control while you're scaling something out just like that. And both sides are equally scaled out just at the same amount of length as whatever side that you're scaling. Now, if you do that like that with the width and length and the height, but you don't really need to do it for the height, otherwise it'll go under the base plate. So you just, you know, you don't hold control when you do that. You do that, then you can press Control D on it, you know, and then you can do this. Now, there's another way that you can scale things out without having to, you know, pick each and every single side simultaneously. And that's just by holding Shift and then holding this button right here, the green one, to let it go up. And bam, it does that. Now, sometimes it'll do that. It'll be too scaled out. So you just press Control Z to undo. Then you lift that bad boy up a lot so that the brick becomes a lot taller. Then you do the exact same process, just like that, see? And it's only scaled out a little bit. Then you pull it down. Now, I've never been a builder who knows how to function things literally as they should be. But I'll tell you something, I love manipulating the studio so that I can build things that shouldn't work, but work nonetheless. And that's what I'm here to show you guys, I guess. So as you can see, we've got a pretty generic or regular box looking shape thing right here. And what you need to do is you can go into color and say we'll just do really bland default colors today, because why the hell not? So if you click on your part that you want, you go default color, you click whatever you want, do whatever your heart is content to do, honestly. And now you've got some sort of, you know, it looks like a kitchen bench or whatever, an island, a kitchen thing, but you've got this, and you can already see it looks quite similar to the base of a Please Donate booth or a Please Smite booth. Honestly, that is the first thing that you're gonna want to do. And then once you've got that, you want to sort of get the bottom base thinner than, you know, its top part, because there's a lot that you're going to add to this. So if you can see up the top, you can see there's a moving option, and it moves by studs. So if yeah, see, one stud for your movement. You want to reduce that so that you're able to move things more easily. So if we do 0.5, you can move things a lot, you know, a lot more flexible, and it looks like that. So that's perfectly fine. But for me, I like to do 0.25 because you want to make sure that the top part is actually still, you know, is still relatively the same size as the base of your booth. And see, now it looks pretty wide. So what we're going to do is we're going to give that a little bit of a thinner look like that. And that's incredible. So then what you want to do is this. Click on your base duplicate it by pressing Ctrl D as always. Pull this blue part out so that, you know, you're extending it, right? And I'm sorry, if you're an advanced builder, you'll know this is some real basic stuff, but at the end of the day, there are a lot of people who are just starting out. So that's what I'm here for. And trust me, that moment for the more advanced builds will come soon. So what you're going to do is you want to make this piece as thin as you can so that you've got some sort of board concept, like a frame. And then what you want to do again is you want to make this sort of like the frame for where the donations and, you know, your username would go. And you want to shade that as well so that it looks like that, perfectly like that. And that's already, you know, that's already starting to pop. It looks like a booth. Anyway, what you want to do after that is you want to go back to move, turn your studs back to 1 so that you can move things without them being so offset, so that they're equally, you know, the symmetry is symmetrical, I suppose. So then you want to grab this part if you want, or you can just insert another part and duplicate it. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll do 4, right? And then you want to do this. You want to bring it as far as you can to the edge so that it looks like that. I know it looks really weird right now, but that's not going to stay like that forever. But then you duplicate it again and it looks like that, and that's perfectly fine. That's exactly what you want. Then what you want to do is you want to thin it out just like that on both sides so that it looks a little bit more like a foundation, you know what I mean? Then you want to go back to studs. I'm going to do 0.5 this time so that, you know, you can bring them in a little bit so it's more realistic. And if you guys want, you can also look up online a reference, like a lemonade stand or something. I think those are pretty thick, but we'll leave them like that for now, right? All right, so we've got our first parts. The second part is just as simple as grabbing the base, lifting it up a bit, just like that. And, you know, you want to make sure that it looks, you know, tall enough so that your character can sit in it, which what I like to do, anybody can do this. You can click on avatar tab up here and get your rig builder, and then you want to get a block avatar, and that'll load in so that you can use that as a reference for sizing. So right now my booth is obviously too big, so what we're going to do is we're going to drag that rig over there. You're going to hold your mouse just like you would on your normal home screen or anything else. Select it all, scale, hold shift, and do the green dotted system that we were talking about. So now it looks a lot more, you know, to scale with the actual rig avatar that we're working with. So then what you want to do is, if you're already looking at a reference, you can always go and look at that. You'll know that this top part looks really thick compared to what you'd normally see on a booth for donations. So what you're going to do is you're going to hold control, hold the blue so that you can move it in and make it thinner, perfectly like that. And then you're going to move this down a bit. You're going to select that, you're going to duplicate it, and then you're going to go like this. Boom. So now we're sort of building the skeleton for the actual booth, and that's something that's really important when you're making a booth, because you can easily make mistakes like having things be asymmetrical or things being scaled incorrectly. You want to make sure that everything's proportioned correctly, otherwise your booth's going to be a hell of a lot of mess to clean up, and it's going to be very crooked. Unless you like crooked details, that's completely up to you. But as you can see, we've got these two foundations that are still too short and can't actually reach the top part, so you're just going to scale those up, make sure that they can reach. And you can see this looks kind of awkward already, so that's what we need to fix. So you just go like that, and easily done. Perfect fix. And you know, for me, I still think this is too thick. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our studs, move those, make those 0.25, come over here, hold control, thin that out, do the same thing over here, and then We want to do that with this. Perfectly fine, just like that. And then it looks a lot more, you know, thinner. And I'm actually gonna move that in a little bit too, because, you know, it starts to look a little bit awkward. We're gonna center everything so that it looks a bit more proportioned correctly. Right, so once you've done that, you can still see there's a little gap. Now this is just as simple as going like that. You can just do that, it's easy as that. And then what you want to do is you want to do the same process with these frames at the top as you did with this down here. So you want to duplicate this. You want to make sure it's shaped as though it were a plate, a flat, you know, a flat frame plate. And you want to just scale it shorter, but not too short, so that it's, you know, it fits perfectly with your build. So we're going to go like that. This is actually too thin for donation buttons, so we're going to make that a little bigger. And we're going to actually make these gray parts. So making contrasts correctly is also very important. It's a vital part of when you're building something and you want to make it pop properly. Contrasts. So we're going to make these the same color as the base, and we're going to make these backboards the same color as the top frame, just like that. And then you want to grab that, duplicate it, and make sure that it's scaled a little smaller but still fits perfectly with this part. And as you can see, we've already got a pretty generic booth, but you know, it's like I said, it's just pretty generic, right? But nonetheless, you've got a pretty functional, worthy booth that you can literally put your details at the bottom, your donation buttons here, and you can put your text at the top. It works. Now, if you want to spice it up a little bit, get ready for the next part of this video. Alright, moving on to level 2, we've got our booth. We're going to make sure we can make this a little bit more aesthetically appealing for yourself and whoever else you want to present this booth to. So, first thing we're going to do is make sure that we can scale things so that they don't look so proppy and blocky, and we're going to make sure we can make it look a little bit better. So first things first, if you get the idea of the stud movement over here so that you can scale, I'm going to make these a little thinner so that these top frames are a little bit more, you know, wider, and it's more presentable. Because see, if you do something like this, it looks hell of a lot more awkward, and the more blocky, the more it changes the sort of style to the booth. And to be honest, you don't want a booth that's way too blocky, because it just looks really, really proppy, and you'll end up with something that just looks like a bunch of blocks stacked on top of each other that could have been made by a toddler. But our job is to prevent that. So the next thing I want to do, if it were up to me, I would make this a little bit smaller, just like that. Grab this top board and you would move it up here, right there, and then you're going to scale it a teeny tad smaller, make it a teeny tad wider, just like that. And I actually think, no, actually, you know what, battling my own consciousness right now. I think that'll do right there. Now the next thing you want to do, if you want to make things look real nice and tidy, is you want to select the foundation over here, and you want to drag that down a little bit, just like that. And just like we were showing you guys before, scaling things up is as easy as just doing that, holding shift and then holding the green button and pulling it up, making sure that you get the right scale. Do the same thing over here. What I just do is I press Ctrl D for the duplication, and then I move it over here, and you can make those pieces dark so that it looks like these foundations are being held together, you know, by proper structure, and then you want to, you know what, you want to do the same thing up here. You want to cover the top piece as well, because it's real ideal, honestly. And already that booth is starting to look a lot more like a booth rather than, you know, something that a toddler can make. To be honest, I think I'm going to make these parts a little bit taller, just like that. Another thing that we can do actually is, I should have told you guys about this before, but making sure that you select all your parts and they're anchored, because if they're not, let me press F8 and show you guys what happens. If they're not anchored, it all falls to pieces. So our job right now is to grab them all, anchor each of them, so you can select them all and anchor them together instead of having to click on each and every individual piece to make sure they're anchored. So what you do is that, and once you've done that, you can try and test it again, run it, F8, and there you go. It stands still, it doesn't fall to pieces. Now, next step, if you think you're done with your booth and you're really happy with this model and you want to move on to doing something else with the booth that doesn't require you moving all of these pieces around, what you want to do next is you want to select all of it, and as you can see at the top, you can see solid modeling. That tab, you can see a button that says union, so you want to click on union and it brings it all together, so it becomes one entire object. Now some people would just see all of these parts, highlight them and press Ctrl G, which groups them together, but it is much less flexible when you do that. See, if you do this and if you group them all together, it just rescales just like that. However, if you undo that and you have it as a union, then you can move it, you know, you can widen it, you can do a lot more flexible things with this booth. And it also gives you an opportunity to retract what you've done, and you know, you've done something with the sizing and you're not really happy with the size, so you need to work on the size. Say it's too thin or too tall, you can rework the sizing, and it's just as simple as having it as a union. Now another thing with a union is the part colors are really difficult to manipulate with a union. So once you've created your booth, and before it becomes a union, I've said that word so much now, you want to make sure that you've got all the colors correct. So I'm actually going to undo what I did. So you can just click separate up here, and it's as simple as that, and it takes away the effects. So what I want to do is I want to colorize my booth, and I'm going to make it a wood sort of texture. So I want to go wooden, and I want to have a little bit of a lighter vibe. So what are we going to do? We're going to do, no, that's too dark. I'm a perfectionist in the studio, by the way. Even if I don't like my work, like right now, I know I can do a lot better than this. I'm just choosing not to. So precision for me, moving the studs 0.1 is the best thing you want to use when it comes to small scaling. But when it comes to big scaling, you always have it on 1 or 2. It's as easy as that. So 1, 2, 1, 2. Perfect. And I'm going to move this up 1 little inch, and there you go. And then I'm going to grab this backboard, do the same thing with that. You know, it could be better, but nonetheless, it's still a working, functional booth. Alright, so what we're going to do is we've got our colors. Instead of grouping it, obviously we're going to unionize it. So there we go. Because if we have a union and we want to change the color, so I've just clicked the color, use part color, it changes the entire booth. But you don't want that. You want to make sure that you don't do that at all, otherwise it's going to mess up your progress. So you've got your booth now, it's all anchored, you can collide with it. So let me go ahead and load into the actual game. And we're going to do spawn. What a weird looking spawn, but nonetheless, it's still a spawn. So once you're loaded in, you can test out your booth, see how you feel about it in a normal, you know, base plate sort of perspective. See how you feel. And for me personally, I like it, but I don't like it. So the thing that bothers me the most is this. Now, as you can see in a lot of games that are popularized on Roblox, they have a lot of really nice detailed things. And obviously I'm not that sort of person. I can't go that far in building skills. But as you can see here, it looks really choppy, all of those dotted, you know, textures on the bricks. So what you want to do is you want to select it, and you can see material over here. You can change it there. But if you see up here next to colors, you can see material manager. You go down to it. You can click on any material and it changes the whole entire booth, really. Like this one, or glass. But for me, I love smooth plastic because it's just the exact same thing as the dotty one, except no dots. It's smooth plastic. And it looks way more, you know, better than, you know, the low quality grainy look to what you have with the plastic. So if I load back in, you can see more of a shiny, you know, clean texture on it rather than, you know, all that choppy stuff. You know, the graphic qualities are really high, even in low graphics. You know, it looks really cartoonish. But for whatever game concept you're going for, having a booth like this is really good to use. You don't want to make some booth that's way too realistic or that has graphics like Gmod from 2004 with all that crazy textures. You want to have something that's quirky, that's cartoonish, and that's kid-friendly, so that anybody can play it. And I feel like that's the idea with this booth, and I think that we're really going for that sort of concept at the moment. So that's what we've got here. All right, so as you can see, I've put the level 1 and level 2 booth right next to each other. So they don't look too different in similarities. However, you can notice a prominent difference at the same time. So, level 1, just a grey look to it, no foundation details, pretty proppy, and it's scaled as is. However, still works pretty well, and it still applies to any game and would still work in the concept of a booth. And over here is the exact same thing, but more color, more pop, more contrast, and a little bit more details with a bit of a refined scale, as well as the smooth plastic rather than the, you know, the grainy choppy plastic over here. Those are our 2 booth details for this video today. However, I will be releasing a level 3 and a level 4 version of how to make a booth for you guys in the next few days. So make sure that you check out my YouTube channel by turning on post notifications and subscribing to the channel so that you don't miss out on that sort of content if this is the sort of thing that you guys are trying to do yourselves. So it's fun to do, and I hope you guys can enjoy the process while you're making these booths, because this is the first step and my guide on how I've done these booths in the past. And I've put references up on the screen for you right here. As you can see, I've done a lot of different booths in my time, and a lot of them, in my opinion, are really good, and I hope you guys think the same thing too. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you smash that like button, leave a comment in the description. If you need anything from me, I can help you out if you're having trouble. Otherwise, just leave any sort of comment you'd like. And like I said, make sure you subscribe, turn on those post notifications so that you can see something new. Anyway, it has been your boy Karma CEO. Hope you guys have an incredible day, evening, and night time. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Take it easy.